welcome back to the Go-Karts and Good Times YouTube channel. Today is finally the day the Impreza engine gave out. I just got home from school, I got a ride from a friend, but as you'll see in the next clip, the engine finally gave out on the way to school this morning. That's real bad. I was in a hurry this morning, so I didn't take any videos of it, but about halfway to school, I noticed it started to feel a little bit weird, and coming away from a stop in the higher RPMs, it started almost bucking and running really poorly. And when I upshifted and kept it in lower RPMs, it was just smooth enough to limp it to school, but as soon as I put it in neutral, the engine died. Maybe I'm not explaining this that well, but we finally got the catastrophic failure of some kind of internal component that made the engine die. Like I said before, I got a ride from a friend just to be safe, and we're going back now to retrieve the car. Unfortunately, we're having a hard time finding a place to hook the tow strap, so we'll have to go get a bolt or some kind of hook to thread into the factory one. Bag full of hardware and a couple of bolts acquired, we can finally try and get a tow setup rigged up. Unfortunately, the bolts we could find at our local fastener shop were just too short to reach the threads for the tow hook. Against my wishes, I'm going to try and limp it home as much as possible before something actually breaks and we have to stop. Now let's just see if I can make the journey. Bad timing, but I've got it in as high of a gear as possible to keep the RPMs low, and there's definitely some loose parts rattling around inside the engine. I'll update you when something exciting happens. When I pushed in the clutch, letting it drop to idle, going to stop at a stop sign, it finally gave out, and the engine is most likely seized now. For now at least, by the side of the road is where this car will lie. We've got it rigged up hopefully well enough so that we can drag it home the last couple of miles. So far this is working pretty well, but we still have to be super careful. Somehow we're still going, and I think we might actually make it. Luckily, we're almost home, being only feet from the end of my driveway. I don't know how we made it home, but we did it. And hopefully some of my videos shed a little bit of light on the process we had to go through to get it here. I don't know if I want to call this good timing because this whole thing sucks, but in just about a couple hours, I'm going to pick up an engine. I did in previous videos, we all knew that the engine was on its way out and eventually this would happen. So I've been talking to a couple people locally about sourcing another engine for it, and I finally got through to a guy that's going to give me a really good price on one, and I'll show you that later. Now it's time to eat and get prepared for our journey to go pick up an engine. I hate talking in front of people for Facebook or Craigslist deals, so I'll update you if anything interesting happens, or probably when I get it back home. I know you can't see much, but we made it back home with no hitches and good news. Getting this thing unloaded is going to be a pain in the butt, so I'll talk about it once I have it into the garage. This is a lot for one night, but I'm finally home and I have great news about the engine. It was super well maintained by the last guy who owned it, and he was super cool walking us through the differences between this engine and mine and talking about his own experience with Subarus. As a matter of fact, he's a Subaru tech himself and races rallycross locally. He had a bunch of Subarus himself and he gave me a really good price. I doubt he'll see this, but a big thank you to him. If you know anything about these engines and the differences between different year Imprezas, you will know that I have to swap a number of parts to make my engine work with this one and the computer and chassis. For now, this is certainly not a bad way to end a day that started with my engine blowing up. In the next few days, I'd like to get this on the stand and start getting it cleaned up and pull my car in and start thinking about pulling that engine so I can get them side by side and start disassembling them. Again, a huge thank you to the guy that sold me this motor, and this is about where I'm going to leave it tonight. So you'll just have to wait and see till the next time I pick up the camera. With the engine on its stand, the next logical step is getting the garage cleaned up and some space laid out so that we can begin disassembling it and pulling the bad engine out of the car. We've also got the space a lot cleaner so that we're ready to take on a more in-depth disassembly. Like I said earlier, I want to have both engines sitting in front of me so I know what gaskets I exactly need, and I have to pull the other engine to know if I need a clutch or not. I think regardless, I will be doing a clutch because it's better to do one while the engine is out of the car and it's a wear item anyway. But the only question is whether I want to get a new flywheel or not. And this is something I really have to take it apart to see whether I need or not. Again, I haven't really had a large chunk of time to sit down and really get working, so we're just biting off little bits of work at a time. Finally, after waiting and waiting and waiting to have the time to get the swap done, it's winter break now, I'm finally back to make some progress. With a workspace clean and the car snow-free and pulled inside, I can finally start actually wrenching on the car. I obviously saw that there were some other videos on this topic, but I want mine to be very structured. While this video will be super short, I think I'm going to end it here so that I can do this, an introduction, a video to pull the engine, a video to swap parts over between the two and get the new to me engine refreshed before I put it in, and a third video for me actually putting the engine back in the car. I think making it structured will be the best option so that the content isn't all jumbled up and random between the different parts of the swap, and you can actually click on a video and expect to see that part of the swap in the video. What that means then is that I will be starting the first of the 3 parts later today and getting the engine torn out of the car. However, that is exactly where I'm ending it. Hopefully you enjoyed, and if you did, I'd appreciate it if you liked, commented, or even subscribed to the channel. And for now, this is me signing off.